Hours of testimony in Frankfort on the state's housing crisis have concluded for the year.
As lawmakers begin to turn the page, Bodie Brooks reports on some of the proposals that could help the problem.
The state's housing task force was the starting point for lawmakers to start looking at the issue, understanding it, and hearing from all the stakeholders about possible solutions. The Kentucky Housing Corporation says today the state is 206,000 housing units short.
There are folks who can't move up from their starter home because there's not a home that they can afford to buy. There's folks who 5 years ago could have become a home buyer in Kentucky, and they cannot afford, a home now.
KHC's Deputy Director of Housing Programs, Wendy Smith, says there are many factors to the current crisis, chiefly that home construction, even in 2024, remains below the average prior to the 2008 financial crisis. Smith says the pandemic compressed our ability to see a crisis over a decade in the making.
We had interest rates go up, supply chain costs made houses, jump in cost.
In Smith's words, homes are where jobs go to sleep at night. She says a housing shortage hurts economic growth. The task force report has collected many of the recommendations that lawmakers may try in 2025.
We look at, some statutory changes. We look at tax changes. We look at zoning change. We really looked at everything.
Some suggestions like state-level changes or incentives to zoning laws. For example, allowing a tiny home to be built on an existing property without extra legal hoops. Revolving loan pools to pay for the upfront infrastructure work that often slows construction is another possibility. Smith says introducing a state housing tax credit is something several other states have tried and already happens at the federal level.
We are a bit of an island to not have one. It basically gets private investors to invest money into the projects, and for every dollar they invest, they might get, let's say, $1.10 off their federal taxes. And so you can do a similar thing at the state level, which brings another source.
As for which proposal works best, Smith really can't say. Many are still very new, but make up the menu of options Kentucky now has to amplify its own response to the housing shortage in the next session. Bodie Brooks, Fox 56 News.